Good morning and welcome to Ananda Sangha Bangalore. We'll begin with reading from Affirmations for Self-Healing by Swami Kriyananda. This week is entitled Energy. Energy is ours not when we hoard our strength, but when we devote it willingly, joyously, toward the attainment of that in which we deeply believe. Faith and energy go hand in hand. If you have deep faith in what you are doing, you can move mountains. Energy is always highest when one's cause is just. The greater one's faith, the greater his willpower. And the greater his willpower, the greater his flow of energy. And let's affirm together. Within me lies the energy to accomplish all that I will to do. Behind my every act is God's infinite power. Within me lies the energy to accomplish all that I will to do. Behind my every act is God's infinite power. A little quieter, within me lies the energy to accomplish all that I will to do. Behind my every act is God's infinite power. And whispering, within me lies the energy to accomplish all that I will to do. Behind my every act is God's infinite power. And silently, within me lies the energy to accomplish all that I will to do. Behind my every act is God's infinite power. And pray silently with me, O cosmic energy, vitalize all the cells of my body. Recharge my mind with boundless inspiration. Fill my soul with thy inexhaustible joy. Om Shanti Shanti. And from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda, entitled, Did God create the universe or become it? Truth is one, eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. The Gospel of St. John chapter 1 contains a passage that explains the essential truth that creation is a process of becoming. The universe is not separate from God the Creator, but a part of Him, even as our own dream creations during sleep are figments of our consciousness. God's is the life, God's the reality. Not a melody could be composed, not a poem written. Were the melody and the poem not already there, simply waiting to be expressed? In Him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Ego-directed desire is like static. It distorts the radioed messages of infinity. But the pristine impulse from the divine, undistorted by limitation and delusion, is the life that gives rise to all that is. As the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita states, I am the fluidity of water. I am the silver light of the moon and the golden light of the sun. I am the Om chanted in all the Vedas, the cosmic sound moving as if soundlessly through the ether. I am the manliness of men. I am the good sweet smell of the moist earth. I am the luminescence of fire, the sustaining life of all living creatures. I am self-offering in those who would expand their little lives into cosmic life. O Arjuna, know me as the eternal seed of all creatures. In the perceptive, I am their perception. In the great, I am their greatness. In the glorious, it is I who am their glory. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday Satsang. This morning we have a reading from Whispers from Eternity. These are a book of prayers and poems by Paramahansa Yogananda. This one is called Demand for Seeing the One Fire Beneath All Soul Flames. O eternal fire, thou art the little soul flames rising through the burner of cosmic manifestation. Each human being is but one flame, separate seeming from all others, and also from thy universal source of power. Thou dost appear many, finite, limited, small or large, but ever divided, shooting up as separate entities through the pores of living organisms. But thou alone art that one, eternal flame. All things other are but thy multifarious appearances. And then this is a reading from The New Path by Swami Kriyananda, My Life with Paramahansa Yogananda. This is the chapter from Reincarnation, on the chapter from Reincarnation. All human life, so the Indian scriptures tell us, is a dream. Its ultimate goal is for us to learn our lessons well, to overcome our attachments to material limitations, and to realize that all things, seemingly so separate and real in themselves, are only manifestations of the one light of God. The highest lesson of all is to learn to love God. The best karma of all is to love Him. Sir, Norman said rather morosely one day to Master, I don't think I have very good karma. Remember this, Master replied with deep earnestness. It takes very, very, very good karma even to want to know God. Through love of God, and only through that love, can one win final release from physical rebirth and earn the right to advance to higher spheres of existence. Victory comes not by hating this world, but by beholding God's presence in it everywhere, and by paying reverence to the veriest fool as though to a holy shrine. You must be very joyous and happy, Master said, because this is God's dream. And the little man and the big man all are nothing but the dreamer's consciousness. And it's such a beautiful topic this morning because when we think about our reason for being here, we have many ideas about why we should be and why we're here and what we have to learn and all of the struggles and what our goals are and all of that. But truly why we're here is to learn how to love. We must learn how to love. And we must learn how to love God. And we must learn how to see God in everything, in every thought, in every flower, in every idea, in every person, in every experience, in every day, in every week, in every year. We must learn to find God in everything. And that is the sole purpose of our existence. That's it. We have gotten off track because when we're born, our egos perk up. And that ego, we come from a place from complete union with God, from a complete place where we're one with God, where our souls have merged in God. And prior to coming into this physical world, our souls are experiencing that oneness. We're experiencing that unconditional love. We know that that's who we are. We don't have to learn it, we just know. But we haven't learned it to the point where this physical world and its fun things to do and the attachments that we've made have completely gone from our consciousness. And so we have to come back to this physical world to let go of the things that are holding us back from experiencing the oneness of God. You can't just do it mentally. We have to go through. We all have a story. So we're in the astral world, completely free, experiencing bliss, and then our guides, our masters, our teachers, our angels, God, Divine Mother, through them tells us, now it's time. Because why is this the time? Because our soul has come to the point where it wants nothing more than to be free. And so we have to do a little work. And we have to come down to this physical plane. And we have to experience the things that we have to experience only to prove to ourselves that everything is love, that everything is God. Once we've learned that, we never have to come back again. And so we make a decision in the astral world and a plan with Divine Mother. And we come into this earth, we come into this story, and we're born. We choose our parents. We see the path before us, clear as day, Master said, before we come into this plane. Clear as day, we know what we want to do. And we're in a very high state of awareness, so we think, piece of cake. This is a breeze, this is going to be easy. Because our consciousness is lifted at that point where we know what we have to do. But then we come into this planet, this physical world, we choose our parents, and all of a sudden, you look at newborn babies. You look at newborn babies. We have a child, and I remember when she was born. She didn't cry when she was born. It was very quiet. We were in seclusion when she was born. It was a beautiful experience, but her soul was not here. It was like in wonderment of where it had come. What am I doing here? And she stared for the longest time. She just looked with her eyes and stared and looked around. And actually for days, she did not cry. And I felt like she was still in the astral world. But then a very interesting thing happened. Actually, it was a couple of weeks. We didn't give her a name. We wanted Swami Kriyananda to fix her name for her. And he was meditating on it. He was in Italy. He came back, he held her in his arms, and he gave her her name. And her name was Rose. He said that was Master's favorite flower. And from that moment on, I just felt her identification with this world coming into being. I felt like, okay, now she's Rose. Now she has her story. Now it's going to come. All of her life, she'll be Rose. Some of us change our names with different ideas of what we want to be called, but the ego then separated her from that wholeness that she was feeling. And so that ego is the thing that keeps us bound. And so that ego separates us. That ego says, okay, this is my life. This is my experience. These are my parents. This is my time to figure out what I have to do. And so life happens, and we go through life. And that straight pathway that we saw in the astral world, all of a sudden there's little byways and little shortcuts and little roads going here and little highways going there and little experiences. So we get off the main road and we spend a long time going off in our little ideas of what it is we think we have to do. Because the world, the physical world, is saying you have to do this. But our soul knows what we have to do. And even though we go through experiences in life that are unhappy, that are anything we would have chosen for ourselves. Remember, we chose it because we knew on a soul level when we came into this world that we had to pay off a debt. Maybe many incarnations ago we were creating the same mean situation for somebody else. And so this incarnation, we have to experience it. That's what karma is. But with conscious awareness of Divine Mother's love and being part of her vibration, we remember what's the lesson. Not to repeat the same mistakes, but to look at the situation with love. To love the people that are giving us a hard time. those people probably are our best friends. Those people are helping us to give ourselves to God, to understand who we are. They also are in the story. And so when we can really go inside and feel God's love and express that love in every situation, we can be free in this lifetime. We can be free. And when our intention and our desire and our yearning for God is so strong, He's going to send us a guru. He's going to send us our guides. He's going to send us the angels. He's going to be there for us because He's never been separate. He's always been there. All we have to do is ask. And maybe we've never asked strong enough before. And so our life is a little uncomfortable and maybe sad and maybe hard. But that makes us really want God. It really makes us want more than anything to get out of this physical material world and go back to God. So those tests are our greatest gifts. Because when that yearning becomes so strong, that's when the guru arrives. When the disciple's ready, the guru arrives. And the guru is God. And God has always been there. But we become more consciously aware of His presence. And then life goes on. And then life goes on. And we learn our lessons. And if we can stay in the light, we'll fail. We'll do stupid things. We'll say dumb things. We'll make wrong decisions. We're human. We're in this physical world. But if your intention is to find God, then you forgive yourself immediately and you get up and you go on. You don't wallow in any mistakes. You don't wallow in the darkness. You don't wallow in, why did this happen to me? It did. Okay, let's go on. And in that moment, in that present moment, then you have God. That's what Master said. He said, when you're happy in the moment, you have God. You can't be happy in the moment if you're wishing something didn't happen or you're wishing something would. You can be happy in the moment if your heart is open and you're connected to Divine Mother, no matter what's going on in your life. Present. Be in the moment. Be here. Be on this planet, but with Divine Mother. Our heart is the connection. Our heart chakra is what connects us to Divine Mother's love. And we must always be aware that our hearts must be open. We're so rational. We're so intellectual. We're so smart. We can get things done and we can do that iPhone like nobody's business and know all the apps, and I don't, but most of you do, and all the internet and all of the things. We're so smart. I mean, we spend an incarnation being smart. The smartphone. Well, I would call it a dumb phone because that phone is keeping you away from your center, from your heart. And your heart is where Divine Mother's love resides. And your heart, when it's open, channels that love into the world and helps this world to transform itself in God's love. Everybody has a world. Everybody has a story. And your story is right where you are right now. When your heart is open and you feel that flow coming through, you never want to live a different way. Ever. Ever. All we have to do is ask. That's it. We're just forgetting, our mind. I'd like you to consider also, what is the mind? What is the mind? What are those thoughts? Master said, we're not our thoughts. We think we're our thoughts. We have become so bound to the physical world that we think we are thoughts. But Yogananda said that every thought is part of a stream of energy, a stream of consciousness. We're just attaching our minds to these different streams, these different levels of awareness. We're attaching our minds to that. The level of awareness of security, getting a job and getting money and getting a bank account and getting the gold in the safe deposit box and getting your kids to college. That's security. That's a wave of energy, and we're attached to it. We're thinking about those things. But when you go inside and you get behind the mind, your soul is perceiving the mind. And you begin to see you're not the mind. You're not those thoughts. Your soul is perceiving those thoughts. And so you go inside and you offer all that up to God. And then God will guide you into what to do. The right thing to do every moment. We must go inside. Don't be stuck in our brains. Don't be stuck in this physical world. It's not real. It's a dream. It is a dream. And it's so real that anybody that tells us it's a dream, you think, oh, sure. You know, I know what I have to do in my life. I know what I'm feeling. I know my struggles. She says it's a dream. But I had an experience, and I wanted to share it with you. My brother was my best friend. He was a year older, a couple years older than me. And we just did everything together. And then the Vietnam War happened. And he enlisted because in those days there was a draft. And they did a lottery system, and by picking names out of the hat, these young men in the prime of their life had to go off to this godforsaken war. Well, John, my brother, thought that he would enlist, because if you got drafted, it was 3 years. If you enlisted, it was 2. Well, my brother was in Vietnam for 1 month, and then he lost his life. He was shot, gone from this planet. And it was devastating for people because he was young and bright and handsome and at the beginning of his life and so magnetic. He was a very remarkable man. And so at the funeral, I didn't cry. I didn't cry when I found out. The way I found out was I stayed home from school that day, and 2 Marine soldiers came to the door. And I opened the door, and one of them was crying. And he said, "We have to tell you, your brother has passed away." That's how I found out. But I didn't cry. There was something in me that was so withdrawn and detached. I didn't have tears. So at the funeral, you know, like a couple days later when his body came back from Vietnam, all of the people were there sobbing, so sad. It was such a sad moment because this earth just lost this great soul. But I wasn't sad. And I was praying to Master, not Master then, but Christ, because I was a Catholic. Why am I not crying? I haven't cried yet. What's wrong with me? I'm not sad. So I looked at his casket and I said, "John, you're not in there, are you?" This is in my mind. "You're not in there. I know you're not in there." I just knew it. And then all of a sudden, my heart opened and I felt this bliss. And a voice that said, "I'm not in there. You're right." And my heart filled with joy. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that he wasn't in there, that he was everywhere, that he had just passed from one room to another, that he was right there present. And I've never lost that feeling. He's always been with me. And so when we think of the permanency of this world can go like that, but we don't. We melt into God, and we go into another realm of love. We go into another realm of joy and of bliss and of peace and of harmony and of understanding. And so we need to remember these things, that this world is so temporary, and it is a dream. Because now John's dream is over for this incarnation. He wasn't around, he didn't really do anything, but he's on to another. This is a dream. Now he's on to another dream. Until we dream God. Until we melt into God and have that experience of Masters that he had, cosmic consciousness. And Master said, the cosmic consciousness, he explains this amazing experience where he's one with everything and everything is light and there's so much bliss and love. He said he intuited that experience from his heart, from his own heart. His heart was experiencing all of the cosmos, him in everything. So that's with us. Our heart is connected to God, and our heart will experience that love. The more we share it, we have to share that love. We can't just take the whole bowl of chana like Sri Yukteswar told Master for ourselves. We can't just sit in meditation and say, give me, give me, give me, give me, until we pop. It's not going to happen. You can't just do that, because God uses instruments. The more we love, the more our heart opens. It's the law. You feel love in meditation, you go inside, but then you share that love with exactly who God gives you to share with. You don't have to go to New York. You don't have to go anywhere. Right where we've been placed, in the present, in the moment, you share that love. Then we will have learned our lesson. Then we will have known this indeed is God in everything. Because you begin to live your life in a way that it's so exhilarating. It's so different from just the normal, boring, getting a job, having kids, grandparents going. I mean, that's fun. But when you bring love to that situation, when you bring bliss to your family, to your job, to your life, when you live your life in love, then it all becomes beautiful. We can't avoid what's coming to us. We can't avoid it. We can't avoid our karma. But we can do something about it. And we can react and respond with love. This is what the world needs now. That's why Divine Mother is calling on her devotees to love more, to live in me, to love God, to love me, so I can love others through you. She's constantly drawing us to that responsibility. It's the only reason we were born. Only reason. It's a beautiful song we have at Ananda. It's called O Master. And the verse that I like best is, the time has come for us to know that all there is love. High above and high and below. All there is love. And now there is time. It's the time to share that love. It's the time. We can't wait. Because really, we don't know when we're leaving this planet. And then we'll have to come back again, and who knows what we'll get. We all have pretty good deals. Because now we have all of the gurus in this incarnation. We have a God-realized master that's guiding every word, every thought. We have Divine Mother. We have a conscious awareness of where we're going. We have our hearts open. We're filled with love. What could be better? Even though we're struggling, it's okay. We'll get through it. And that's why we must think of one another and pray for one another in our sadhana. At the end of our meditations, don't just think of yourself. Did I see the spiritual eye? Can I hear the Om? Can I hear the bells in my heart? All those things will come the deeper you meditate. But the most important thing, the question we should be asking is, can I feel Divine Mother's love? Is my heart open? And then send that love out at the end of our sadhana. Send it out. Rub your hands together through your arms and your hands and concentrate deeply and send this love out. Because we live in a spiritual world. We're deluded into thinking we live in a physical world. We live in a spiritual world. We're spirit. And that's what we want to identify with. And when we begin to identify with that, then our whole life becomes one beautiful experience. Just beautiful. We need to really think about people in our lives and loving everybody unconditionally. One time I read this little book of children's stories. It was letters of children to God. And these children were like 7 or 8 years old. And they were writing letters to God, Dear God. And there was this one letter that I really liked. And he said, Dear God, I think it's really great that you love everybody unconditionally. I only have one brother, and I can never do it. I just love that, because isn't it true? We just have these one person that we just can't do it, but he was just so sweet about it. But it's true. That's how we see life. I have this one person in my life, forget it. I'm not going to love that person. Let God love that person. But God will love that person through you if he's in your life. That's how it works. And then you become free inside. And then you identify with the Spirit. And then you feel the love in your heart grow. And then you expand your consciousness and become aware every moment that God is in your life. He's in every part of you, every experience, every flower. As it said in that beautiful reading, every moonbeam, the sun, flowers, trees, the sea, everywhere. Every soul that comes to you for comfort, that comes to you for grace, that comes to you to be helped. We all have those people in our lives. So put your own troubles to the side. God will take care of you, don't worry. He will. He does. He has. It's proof. He's right here. So those are just a few thoughts I wanted to share with you, and I hope you have a wonderful week and stay in the light, and may God and Divine Mother bless you every moment of the day.